Cartoons. We all love them. They remind us of childhood. Whether that be Saturday morning cartoons in a bowl of Trix, or after-school Cartoon Network in a Lunchable. Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Warner Bros., whatever it may be, cartoons are just fun and pleasant to sit down and enjoy. There's a split between the type of cartoons we may be thinking of, old and new, but what's the difference? Why can we recognize such a contrast between classic and modern? This difference seems so big, but it came to us like any other media the network put out. I like to describe this change as a light switch. When the switch is down, that's classic. When it's up, that's modern. But what flipped that switch? To give us an idea of this before and after, think about the early cartoons. Looney Tunes, Yogi Bear, the Jetsons, and Flintstones. They certainly had their positives, but a significant part of it was that they served mostly as platforms for episodic themes. They were shenanigans and silly characters. Fun, but they lacked depth. The popularity of the Flintstones and programs alike was mostly due to the broad settings used to show the daily lives of each character, but there wasn't much development or personality in either of these shows. The 80s presented this roadblock for storytelling, and that roadblock was product placement. Cartoons gained popularity not because of their substance, but rather because they were huge money generators, with little to no actual emotional resonance. They wanted figures that kids would recognize and beg to own merchandise of. In the 90s and early 2000s, we began to see a slight change thanks to programs like Batman, Teen Titans, Samurai Jack, and Ben 10. However, these programs still primarily relied on a formula that didn't go beyond anything that would make the audience think and question. It was still mostly centered on product sales. They had more depth, but didn't feel relatable beyond the surface. As animation became more and more popular, adults grew more interested than previously. Cartoons underwent this transformation in the early 2000s, when they started to focus on much more than just mindless entertainment. What these shows started doing was pushing away from marketing and instead focused on trying to tell a good, solid story that wasn't afraid to make the audience think. I think this change came in 2010, thanks to probably the best example of this light switch flip. The Change. Adventure Time is an animated series that aired from 2010 to 2018 on Cartoon Network. When it comes to cartoons, it's pretty hard to compare to this show and all its mind-bending variety, creativity, and visuals. The series really set the bar for a golden age of animated television, and inspired creators to delve into more serious issues and subjects that weren't typically featured in cartoons. It was unusual for a series that was targeted to younger audiences to expose viewers to stories that might include serious topics and undertones.
Oh, sorry. It's cool. I'm just thinking about the future, I guess. We're on, the bleeding edge of history. Everything ahead of us is totally unknown, and there's no guarantee that things are going to be all right. It's exciting, but it's also pretty scary, you know?
Part of the show's enormous popularity when it originally debuted on television was mainly a result of its trippy and eccentric visuals and writing style.
Getting all hung up on imaginary problems. You gotta focus on what's real, man.
It just so happens that this is the reason it gained such a devoted audience among adults, who ordinarily wouldn't watch Cartoon Network. It also had a lot to do with the symbolic meaning of the characters and stories, which could all be readily applied to adult life. It's notable that, although the show is comedic in nature, they weren't always intended to be funny, and often the most cherished and moving moments tend to be the episodes of the series that were focused on characters' mental issues and personal lives.
I was in love with you, okay? And you didn't love me back.
The Adventure Time team never shied away from dramatic and intense subjects, at times making tear-jerking comparisons to the harsh realities of living with ailments and diseases like PTSD and dementia.
But I'm losing myself and I'm afraid you're going to lose me too.
Oh yeah, keep it going.
This magic keeps me alive, but it's making me crazy, and I need to save you. But who's going to save me? Please forgive me for whatever I do when I don't remember you.
Wow, I wrote that. Hot stuff.
What? You don't remember what it means?
As well as the topic of war, famine, and loss. The team made a huge impact on how animated television handles discussing real-life issues. It also won accolades for being one of the first modern cartoons to depict LGBTQ characters with same-sex couples that enjoy rich and nuanced relationships. It's clear that when you watch this show, the differences between us don't matter, and in the end, we're all the same.
But Nettie's from the same place you're from, and he's a wet hot dog around everyone.
People get built different. We don't need to figure it out, we just need to respect it. Maybe he likes his own company better than I like mine.
Since Adventure Time, we've had shows like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Infinity Train, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Amphibia, The Owl House, and so many others that tackle many themes that most old cartoons would be deathly afraid to touch. In 2020, Disney Channel launched the animated series The Owl House, which has since gained a huge following. The show celebrates oddity and the importance of staying true to oneself. It may best be known for having a lead character that is openly queer and Latino.
Oh, crikey.
I can't believe I just did that.
I can't believe I just said that!
As well as a cast of varied and accepting friends. It's incredible that a show with themes and characters that encourage being your genuine self was even put on air by Disney. And although the show has been discontinued, young kids who might be struggling with identity issues or a fear of connection now have access to a world of love and acceptance thanks to this representation. These cartoons may not be animated in the same way as older cartoons, but in exchange they offer much more depth and freedom, with a more open style of writing. And because they are far more willing to tackle much more difficult themes, it truly shows how mature these cartoons really are, and how much it respects children by giving them content that not only they can enjoy, but adults as well. And that will stay with children and creators for the rest of their lives as they grow. Some people may argue that companies like Disney are indoctrinating children by including queer identities and less commonly seen ethnic and cultural backgrounds in cartoons. Wokeness is a commonly complained about feature in modern-day animation. I personally see this as an opportunity for children who may be in these demographics to have a fictional place of security and relatability. Many fans of animation and those who are in the industry also agree with me, though all perspectives are valuable considering this is a pretty subjective topic and simply depends on the type of animation you prefer to watch. The creation of Adventure Time is significant because it sparked an entire generation of creators, artists, and represented in media.